That is perhaps the most important video I have ever made, and maybe the most important video that I ever will record in my life. And for everyone who knows me, knows that I barely use scripts. Mostly I have chaotic notes on paper, but now I have a structured script, because it's important I don't forget what I want to say. And that's because it's important. It's important for all of us. Now in the half of 2022, meanwhile you're watching, you maybe feel scared by the future in terms of economic, the danger of war, environmental pollution, climate change, and maybe a lot more. Who, as a feeling human being in this world, isn't thinking about that? All the things that went wrong. And I want to tell you about my vision. My vision. A vision of this world, how it could be. How this world and all humans could be the best of itself. And I want to encourage you to be part of my vision and support it. To be part and make this possible together. It won't happen overnight. It will take time. I'll just have time to plant the seed and give some structure to the network. Until it bears fruit, it will take some time. Not like 1, 2 or 3 decades, more like 100 or 200 years. Perhaps you now think it's impossible, but it is. I never felt so clear about that like today. I never felt so clear like in the last weeks, in which I became aware that now's the time to approach the public. I also have to tell you that alone as a human being, I would never come here before this camera and would tell you about this project that I will implement today. If I didn't reassure myself, to my supporters and the gods I honor, and the demons who guide me, and who have encouraged me to record this video and prompted me to make clear that it's untrue, that the demons are beings who seek to destroy us or animate us to terrible deeds or similar. The truth is that demons in the classical Greek sense are called daimonos, and their companions and mentors who seek to make us the best of ourselves. And that too is something that is a total paradigm shift. Because in the last 2000 years we have thrown in the trash so much culture, so much knowledge. It's embarrassing. Because of religions that have seized only power, we have forgotten truths about the world and ourselves. But it's never too late for a healing restart. Now I want to tell you about the vision in my head. Imagine centers all over the world. Centers where people are different. Centers where people are who have the ability to communicate with beings from the other side and have a connection with them. I know young people who say, I have connections to beings on the other side, but I have no one to talk about that. And if I try, they laugh about me. They call me crazy. But I know it's real. And I can see clearly if that is crazy shenanigans, from the wish of having a connection, or drugs, or delusions, or whether it is based on a real foundation, like experience. Because I have more than 30 years experience in this. There are a lot of these young people and there are more to come in this world in the next few centuries. And they have to be carried. Those souls, those ancient souls who come back, who have this wisdom and this knowledge, who come back to this world, they need to be carried. So that something new can grow and something new can thrive. A completely new kind of religious practice that has never existed in the world before. And this project, I tell you, I won't promise too much. It's a project that has never existed before in the world, something completely new. This project, in my eyes, is also the most important spiritual and religious project of the last 2000 years. Because, in the end, the monotheistic religions have brought this world to the abyss. Just to be said, I don't want to get political at all. I don't want to focus on environmental pollution, climate change and the danger of war or something else like that. Because I'm not a politician. But I can only say so much. This world is on the brink and we all know that. And no one thinks they have the power to change that. But each of us has it within when we ask ourselves what we can do. Of course we can do little things like... We can do little things like going out in the morning and hand in returnable bottles or recycling garbage. Those are little things, but in the end it won't really change anything. If we want to change the world in a big way, we have to overcome the challenges that religions have left us. Inversive religions that can't show any answers, the big problems, or give introduction or help to develop our own eternal potential. Potential that everyone has. Religions to make people small instead of big. Later on in this video I will talk about Lucifer, the daimon who I appreciate. The eternal, divine being who wants you to be illuminated and wants to give knowledge to all humans. But no, they pray to God, who holds you back by seeking your own light. Those religions, those terrible institutions, have been the reason for the Dark Middle Age. Religions are an imperialistic system of rule that ensured that other cultures, other spiritual people and other beliefs have been mercilessly exterminated. If these beliefs could not be proselytized, or didn't adapt to the dogmas, they were excluded or completely left on their own. We still have people today who share these beliefs and these animistic ideas. Those who worship their own ancestors, cults and have their own gods still exist in the world. They still exist. If you listen to these people, if you bring these people to you, to be inspired and to be taught what you can do differently, of course it would first have come to the point that people, for example from Europe, also treat these people as equals and not from above. But that doesn't happen. We can assume that these people will disappear, even if we fundamentally change our behaviors. Those people who really have built their own cultures and their own religion systems for over thousands of years, even then we can assume that in 200 years, I don't know how much there's still left, a third less, 80% less, you can be sure that these people won't grow their own power. I see Native Americans from the USA, Aborigines in Australia who are deported to reservations, urbanization, alcohol addiction, stuff like that, and I don't see that these people are supported in their culture, that they are valued, because appreciation is a very important topic for today. Appreciation, that you get along with these people who value this world, who have something to contribute, something to give back, to give something spiritual. And that's not the sleazy aunt around the corner walking with 1,000 necklaces around her neck with some colorful clothes. Appreciation. You really should appreciate the people who really come from a deep fundamental culture of true wisdom and true magic. Appreciate those people, which our ancestors have been forced into proselytizing or slaughterhouses. And now I would like to present you a vision of what the future may look like. Because we are at a tuning point that will change everything. The only question is how. And by the way, and I know we have war, environmental pollution, but they still will be here in 10 years. The apocalypse is not just around the corner, as some Christians say, and hope for their pretty salvation. There is no excuse to do nothing about it. Because otherwise I would save myself the work here, because I wouldn't need to do it. But I still have hope that things can change here. This vision, I had it somewhere in my head for years, and it keeps forming. And in the last few months, it really grown to the point that I said, I'm going public now. I had dreams. I had dreams that I shall do it. I had dreams of several gods. And they gave me the blessing for it. I got dreams from the underworld. I got dreams that encouraged my vision. Because, as I said, I wouldn't be standing here alone if I didn't have the support from the other side. I'm 52 years old. I just said the other day when it was still on the brick, I said, man, I'm 52 years old. What should I do now? Such a huge project that has never existed before in the world. To set in motion, I don't have the time anymore. Then I had a situation during the night while dreaming, where I stand there, and I got told, you deserve something, choose a watch, this watch is new, take your pick, you have the time, and I will use this time. Imagine a future in which humans live, who realize that they are different, that they have connections to the other side. Which, by the way, isn't anything crazy or insane, it was completely normal in ancient times. And these people, they went to their priest, were admitted and were trained. That was normal in all ancient cultures, but for the last 2000 years we have thrown it upon, because one should not know, but bow. These people will come to a community that helps and trains them. Druids in Britain, for example, are said to have been trained for over 20 years before they were finished. There, these people will have the same time. They don't need to worry about material things. They will be 100% founded. They will have a good life. They will be educated, further educated. And even if they say at some point, I no longer want it, I want a completely normal, different life, I want to do anything, even then they will not be despised or everything will be taken away from them. No. Then they will send out with a handshake and say, okay, thank you, we will still take care of you. Because the people who are supported there, in my eyes, they deserve to be supported throughout their whole lives. And this project will require money. It will need a lot of money. And in the course of this video, I'll figure out how much money it will be. You'll be shocked, maybe you'll laugh at me too. But this money will be necessary, and this money will come. Those chosen people who walk the way of wisdom and want to use their talents don't have to be afraid of destitute, don't have to be afraid to make a fool of themselves just because they say they have a connection over there. Then there will be meetings every few years, meetings of all polytheistic currents, religions, all will be invited to meet at a changing place in the world. There will meet South American shamans, with Aborigines, voodoo priests from Benin, or black witches from Germany who are together with a demon. And they will meet. They all will meet and plan together like in a think tank, like in a huge brainstorm. What's about the world? What can we do with the world? How can we help the world being herself again and develop better? What can we do? Because all these peoples who meet there are envoys of their gods and their beings. They will be respected and they will respect the importance of these meetings. They are emissaries of them and they will not do one thing. They will not cause destruction to Mother Earth just to make her submissive. But people who are of the same opinion, and all polytheistic religions are the same with this. The people who believe that the Earth is a deity will not desecrate her. They will do everything to steer this progress in such a way that it will also be in use of the Earth. And they will ensure that all talented people can develop their potential. And they will be a very, very good alternative to the religions that people have only suppressed for the last 2000 years. And building that up can't succeed in a group of 10 or 20 people. Or in any communities where you can get one apartment in the city and meet 3 times a month. Something like that can work out. And I will also tell you why it hasn't worked so far. There were enough approaches to change something, but it didn't work. The other aspect of these communities must be that everyone who really has the abilities is not only accepted, but invited, and it doesn't matter where they live. It would be also possible that an experienced voodoo priest from Benin could lead a European center or could train people there. It is important that we meet as equals and everyone has the same rights. And precisely with these cultures, and we urgently need that, we need to develop a new reputation with these cultures, namely that you listen to them, that you want to learn from their wisdom and their knowledge, and not let some Europeans say, you learn from us now how to deal with life. That you don't look down on these people from above, because they have so much to give. So much. Yes, I see this community spread all over the world, in every corner. I see them a bit like the Federation in Star Trek. Maybe I'll put it in that way so you can understand it better. Only with the difference it's not about any aliens. It's about, let's say, fortunate people here in the world. And let's be honest. What are these people for us who still live their animistic traditions here? Aren't they also somehow aliens? Aren't they also completely unknown and strange? The goal will be to change that and to join forces without pretending in any way the better is the stronger or more powerful. And that's why it's also important that in these centers it doesn't matter where you are in the world. Not that it says we are in Europe, this pantheon rules, no. The person who comes and says, I have a connection here and there, will place his deity on the altar. And the pantheons, the gods who are real, who are thinking and feeling beings, you should believe me. And all those gods will know where will be the place for them in the future. Do we know today whether the Nordic or the Germanic gods are worshipped in 500 years? Maybe in South America, maybe in Africa. We don't know that today. But the gods will decide that. But we must clear the way for the gods so they can unfold again and regain their importance in our world today. There is this beautiful saying, the gods will fix it. Is it really that simple? Are we out of the obligation? Look around. We have to take responsibilities. The gods are not just any tooth fairies who arrive and grant us any wishes. We also have to pave the way for the gods somehow. To restore their importance in the world to its former glory, they have to be seen as powerful guides for everyone. We, as humans, have expelled the gods. And now we have to undo this. And finally, achieve a balance to the monotheistic religions. I would like to emphasize again that if these meetings are organized, that the people who are flown in also be flown in by the expand of this community, because you know how they live. Because these people have no money, they're destitute. The most of you can't really understand this. In further development, we also see that we will do charity work, that we will support these poor people. But until then, we have to make sure they don't worry about how they got here. They're going to be invited for this. And that also requires money. Yeah. Let's see. Yes, exactly. Okay. I would like to emphasize once again that all magical systems are respected, no matter which one. All polytheistic and magical ways that are real and that really requires a connection over there. Not some crazy ideas from some Europeans who think they can tell people some crap because they found out something on the last joint. I don't think so. All true spiritual directions are welcome and be seen with value, no matter where they come from. Voodoo, Hopi, Germanic cults. All centers will have their majorities. In Africa there will be probably more people from the voodoo or from the animistic faith as opposed to the, adherents of the Germanic faith. But that's not important, because we all have lost too much to afford to say, we do it ourselves. We don't need that, but we need it. Damn it, very badly we need it. By the way, I would like to exclude one religion from the monotheistic religions. Let me address them in a very special manner, where I can definitely imagine working with these people, because they have their own beautiful mystic, because they don't do intend to proselytize, or to change or despise anyone who believes differently. They have a basic acceptance because they know what persecution is, and that are the Jews. In my eyes, the Jews are the only ones out of this monotheistic current that have my sympathy. Because I think they know enough about what persecution is, and that they themselves live their spirituality in a very positive way. I would be happy to see the possibility in the future that at some point there will be mediators between the individual religions. Who knows that now? But in any case, I just want to say, I don't want to stand up and make any other religion looks bad, but I want to stand up for my belief and for the belief of those who gain back their sense of spirituality. For those I will stand up and speak. Not as a great leader, but as someone who gives people freedom somewhere. But in the end, this freedom can only be achieved by everyone, with the help of the gods, and not just through human hand. I can only start a network here. But I will do it. We have the following situation at the moment. We had religious wars behind us, we proselytized until the 20th centuries, that wiped out entire cultures. We have a responsibility after playing badly with these people, that we treat them as equals, that we also give them back their own spirituality, and above all give them their dignity over their spirituality, that we really don't take them by the hand like a child. But that we let them take us by the hand, because they can give us what we have forgotten for over 2000 years. We have a disastrous situation in the indigenous cultures worldwide, if that is alcohol addiction, urbanization, uprooting. I already addressed that. That's the current situation we have. Now let's see what we know about the spiritual situation in Europe and North America right now. The people who work spiritually have no connection, no connections to any gods, no connections to any demons. We have people that are idiots. We have people that are crackheads and tell people stories about drug nonsense all the time. There are only a few people who have these connections, and I'm able to sense the truth about that, and others can that as well. What do you think? Why people in other cultures always just shake their heads, why in South America the shamans there, on the other hand, guard against the fact that their culture is so abused and sold off here? That's just impossible behavior. They talk about the shamans that are trained here only as neo or plastic shamans. They can't have respect for what's going on here, for these people who cover themselves with cases and put their feathers in their hair. This cannot be the future. This cannot be a spiritual future for us. But unfortunately, that is everyday life. For instance, when we talk specifically about Germany and the circuits, groups or other pagan spiritual scene based there, they have no foundation. Look at them. Are these pagan scenes open? I wrote that out. There were this article that says about the ancient cultures of the Egyptian, Greeks and Romans, only 1% of their knowledge has been preserved and carried into modern times. Just 1%. It's even less of the Nordic cultures, because they were not written cultures. And that what has been handed down was mostly written by the Romans in a twisted way. There is nearly nothing. We have a book of Viking legends that many of these people see as a Bible, although it's only a book with a few basics in it. But it's approached very dogmatic and nationalistic, without realizing what the Nordic religion can actually give. I think it's such a shame. And that's why I say we don't need to be told by plastic shamans and rotten druids what our future should look like. We can determine it ourselves, but we have to open up, and those people who want to live the pagan religion have to let things be said to them. They have to let things be illuminated to them. Because what do you think will happen? I know enough people who have the experience. When someone comes into a pagan community and they want to have a personal contact with a deity and ask, how can you do that, please support me, or if someone comes along and says that he or she has a personal contact with a god, they are laughed at and despised. That are plastic religions who put their gods in cupboards as decorative items. But it's not a living religion. Communities that don't live are doomed to die out in the medium or long term. And that's the danger I see in a religion that only contains a fraction of what it used to be, especially if it's poorly lived like this. It has to open itself up for fortune influences to become what it should be. These groups must also open up to those who can do it better, and there are still some in this natural culture in this world. They can do that. They can teach these people to become one with the gods again, to let their gods give them back the knowledge that has been buried, and we can do that. But they have to be able to open up itself. It's like this, for example. A good friend of mine spoke of a well-known, he has a huge image of Odin toted on his back. He beams when he hears the name Odin. He's so happy. He is connected to him, but he was never in Europe. He came from South Africa. He's dark-skinned. What do you think would happen if this person comes to Europe and says to these groups, would go to these pagan groups and say, I worship Odin, I have a personal contact, I really like him. What do you think how he would be looked at? It's pathetic and so embarrassing. A friend of mine also had to find out. She got told that she was not concerned with the topic of runes. It's none of her business. Why? Yes, she is German, but she has no German roots. The origin of her roots and those of her ancestors are in Turkey, and therefore they have nothing to do with runes. If I had told these people that she made a personal contact with the goddess Hel, they don't believe this until this day. But that's the thing. We have to be willing to learn from each other and completely rebuild it from scratch. And this refusal to learn from each other will ultimately lead to the death sentence for all of those communities that exist here in Europe and North America. Nothing will come out of it. The spiritual gap, this power vacuum, will be filled again by the wrong ones. Again. It mustn't come that way. The attitude, the saying that the gods will fix it, it's not the right attitude. We have to take matters into our own hands. We have to prepare the way for the gods, but I already mentioned that. What we need is a new way of spirituality, new thinking, new visions. We need a whole new way of practicing religions. I would like to go into something again here, which will therefore also follow, sounds frightening, a new priesthood. New priests. And by that I don't mean a caste of priests who stands above everything. I mean the holiest people who have contact over there, who can help people in this world, in all centers. And everyone knows, no matter where they are, that if they go there with their talent, that others think are crazy, will be welcomed. For example, I'm pretty sure that there are still enough people in Arabia or in Egypt who worship the Egyptian gods. They would never dare to reveal themselves or make it public. They were killed. But if there's the possibility that they know that there's asylum, where they are accepted, where they are supported, don't you think that they might find the courage to go there? And that's why it's important to have communities in all parts of the world, where perhaps the asylum laws in such a way that these people would be accepted. That too is a question of the future, but it's a solvable question. It's possible, you will see. The question remains, which pantheon, because there have already been asked questions like, here we should have this pantheon here and this pantheon there, and that doesn't matter. As I said, we don't know whether in far from religious the Germanic deities will be worshipped in South America. We don't know that today. But we have to generally clear the way first and return to a well-founded re-evaluation of our spirituality in Europe and North America. We must be willing to learn from all these people that we have oppressed for centuries. From them we must be willing to learn. I've already said that all souls come back. And they will come back more often. And they need people who will help them, not declare them insane or something else. I would like to talk about whether there have not already been good approaches. Yes, there were. There were wise people. There were wise communities and spiritual communities who achieved great things. And I am not the greatest magician under the sun. I am not. There are some who are probably 100 times better. And I want to mention again that I don't see myself as the great leader. I don't think so. But I consider myself as the one who is not willing to go along with that any longer. There were these people. For example, when I look for sure very wise, Osho. For me, very powerful, very knowing and also wise was Crowley. But all of these communities made a very big mistake. They have allowed themselves to be corrupted. All of these communities have worked intrinsically, directing their energy inwards, not outwards. They were looking for followers, who worked for them, who paid homage to the leaders of these communities, but who didn't return anything, who didn't give anything back. That is also the reason why if at some point these leaders die, these communities will eventually lose popularity and sometimes even perish. These religions live very short. Crowley that know very few today. He didn't want to found a new religion, he wanted to destroy religion. What did he do? Exactly that, he did found a new religion. He did the same what he criticized by others. Then he did it himself. Almost let himself be worshipped. And the intrinsic work of these groups, even if there are people who want to do it better, has ensured that it all goes down the drain somewhere at some point. And that's why I say, definitely, there are other possibilities. You don't have to work intrinsic, but to the outside. Everyone who wants to create something spiritual has to give something back. Just to be said, I'm a black magician, but I don't want to harm anyone. I want free people to decide, here. And I'll tell you honestly, I know enough people who worship the underworld, who worship demons and underworld deities, but hardly anyone has even bothered to think about what they could be willing to give back for what is given to them by these strong partners over there. And I want to give something back. I really like living. I don't want to be a martyr. I'm not a workaholic either. But I really like living and I'm living good. But I want to give back all the great things the underworld gave me. Whatever trust they placed in me, I want to give that back. I want to do something for those beings over there. And that should be the first priority for every spiritual person, no matter who he worships, at the present time. And not only later, giving back. Not just taking, but giving back. Think about it. And I don't mean to give the soul away. Pass that nonsense. Don't let them tell you such bullshit. Do your best to make it better. Then you are definitely on the right path, without any doubt. These religions that works inwards always lose in the long term. Therefore, it can only be a community that does not establish a new religion, but simply new spiritual thinking, which appears as a community, but not as an autark, autistic community that in some way commands the people to do something, with kind of big leaders, but that can only be a community where are many people with equal rights and the will to build this world. Only then. You don't need to be afraid. I don't want to pose as the great leader and say, do this, now you can worship me. No, I'm just a human being. There will be people who are probably vastly superior to me. But until then, I want to put my energy into this project. I want it to bear fruits. I want a better world for the underworld and the world of the gods, but I already said that. Above all, I would now like to talk about something that maybe, if you don't already think I'm crazy or something, will blow your mind. Not just the new priesthood, but the money. But before I talk about it, I would like to make clear to you why I'm convinced that I can do my part, that this clear vision will become reality because of the being under whose protection I am, because of the being that I deeply revere. There are many beings that I revere or stand under the protection of, whether that's Hecate, Samael, or Lilith. Above all, it's Lucifer. Lucifer is for me the bringer of light. He brings people the light of knowledge and wisdom, if they desire it. I once shot a video on the subject of Lucifer. If you haven't seen it, you're welcome to watch it. And then you can really see what I personally think of Lucifer and how I see him. And how angry I get when I see how Lucifer is portrayed these days. Because Lucifer is a god, a very modern god, who can give so much. Who can give new things. Lucifer stands for progression. And he can help us with our great human civilization to do better. And he understands people. He understands people who basically want to have knowledge and wisdom. He can convey that. He calls for it. And that's why I worship Lucifer. Lucifer is a god who is worthy of worship, whom I adore from the bottom of my heart, like my mother Hecate, or Lilith, or Samael, and other gods I've came across, that known to be wonderful. But that's a different topic. Now we're going to talk about how this community can be built up. I already said it on the subject of the network. I would like to show you something about this. I would like to make something clear. What we see here is a world map. To show you what I mean, I would like to show you my little drawing. We see North America, South America. We see Africa, Asia, Europe, Australia, and all these areas are Christian dominated. Can you believe that? Here we have the Hindus, there we have Islam, here we have Christianity and Islam, but we have small dots everywhere. Small dots where other religions still prevail, where the original religions are still over the world. And these communities that I want to start, that are going to change everything, that are a whole new approach. There will be here, 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 there, and there. And they will be connected to each other. That's a network. And if you take a closer look, from top to the bottom, the upper and the underworld connected, when I see the individual points. Their diagonals, what do they form? A Germanic form of the Hercules rune, but in such a way that it doesn't stand for hail or ice in any way, but for a new epic. where hail basically where ice turns to water, for ice to melt. It's a rune of time, and in that form it symbolized the universe. If you connect these dots with each other, that's a sign that I got when I was 21. Then you have a very special form, so don't let my drawing skills somehow frighten you. Then you have a very special form of the unicrucial hexagram without the pentagram in the middle, which actually stands for the macroscopic world, and that stands for the earth. And that can give a whole new form of religious practice in a better way. And what do I need for that? I know my drawing skills are not very good. What do I need? I need several plots of land worldwide. I need financing that is secured to such an extent that it's untouchable. You know, you maybe have noticed that, maybe not, but because of the Russian conflict, that for the first time in many decades, that innocent civilians who have done nothing, just because they are residents of a friendly country next door, have been completely expropriated. There is nothing left for them. I know, the most people don't really care because it's none of their business. But it's wrong. It's wrong to take something from someone just because someone is a resident of a nation that doesn't suit you. That's wrong. That's theft. That's state theft. And that's a shame that no one cares. By the way, as I said, I don't want any political discussion to be triggered here. That is not my intention. I bet some of the one here in Europe who has been disposed again, I bet some of those who have been disposed again here in Europe definitely had Jewish ancestors who were also disposed. No one talks about that. I would be interested to know who this applies to. But this injustice shows how quickly it can happen that a situation can be developed within just a few weeks, where you can really run into losing completely everything. Makes it important to diversify the assets across the planet, especially for a group like that. Not just at one location, like USA or Europe or Schweiz. That is not going to work. But create everywhere, in all systems, in all investment options, whether they are precious metals or whether they are cryptos, just to mention some options. In any case, it must be distributed in such a way that switching off one center does not trigger the collapse of the wall, but that there's still enough to support each other, so that this community as such can continue to exist. That's the most important thing ever. Only one community here in Europe, or in America, or maybe in Africa, can't do anything. The stronger we get, the more we achieve, the more enemies we will have, and they will do everything they can to stop us. And what is the best way to stop us? By turning off the money tap. You have seen it now, and that shouldn't happen. If the financial possibilities are distributed, it's impossible to switch off everything at the same time. How much, will you ask, do I need to raise something like that? I'm assuming roughly about 20 million euros for the beginning. But I'm sure that there are people who are willing to change something, and who are quite willing to give money for the fact that they are responsible for making this world a better place, and also give something because they know it's well invested. I'm sure about that. And as I said, it is a lot of money, and that's the reason why you won't see a donation account below or anything else. If you think you actually want to support me, write to me. Write me a letter below with an address. And the people who really want to support me Feel free to write to me so we can look at solutions or we can see what we can do together. It's going to be a long way. It's not achieved in 1 year. That's totally clear to me. But I'm not dead yet. I'll be here for a while. It has just begun. And I still have a few years to do something, and I'll do that. And for that I need your help and your vision. I thank you for the time you have given me and hope I did not forget anything to mention. As I said, I rarely do scripts like this because I always like to talk freely, but it was too important to me that I'll forget something that's too important. In that sense, let's really change this world. Let's change the world and create something new and something better. I remember one more thing to mention. Before you switch off, I would like to draw your attention to how you personally can help after watching this video. Share this video, give this video others to see. If you speak other languages, make sure this video is translated. I would like to see this video in French, I would like to see this video in Russian, in Spanish. I have a friend who will translate it for me, in Greek, into all languages of the world. I want this video to go around. I don't want it to just stay on my channel. Of course, I will publish it here, when the translations are available, but now I would like it to be passed on. You are welcome to use this video, you are welcome to link it, you can share it, you can upload it anywhere else. But I want that. If you have the opportunity, for example, to somehow translate it in other languages, do that. But please don't take it out of context. That wouldn't be so nice. Leave it in the context as I tried to explain it. You would be doing me a huge favor. And again, passing it on, because that's what you can do personally. I almost forgot to say that. Yeah, okay. Thank you for your attention.